I know how much you love Rocky. So we're gonna talk about it today. Oh, you didn't mean Rocky 1976. You meant Rocky Horror 1975. How was I supposed to know? They're both cult classics. They both star very sexy man in the leading role. And they have a muscle man, okay? How was I supposed to know the difference? Rocky Horror. Your mom knows it. Your grandma knows it. She's a freak if she knows it. She probably watched it for Tim Curry. I know Tim Curry not from Rocky Horror. I know him from Annie. Okay, I'm a bit uncultured if I'm being honest. Pretty sure he's in something else. So let me check. I got a list of movies here he's in. I mean, I know of him from Annie, but I didn't really know it was him. You know what I mean? Like, he's just a guy that you grew up seeing and you respect him, but you don't really know much about him. He's an icon, a legend. He is the moment, quite frankly. Okay, so I was a Rocky Horror virgin for most of my life. Never heard of it before. Like, maybe in passing, but I only actually sat down and watched it this year. I know. It's shameful, really. I'm a so-called theater kid. But to be honest, most theater kids my age, like, they're not that serious. All they know is Hamilton. Hamilton, Heathers, and Be More Chill. Maybe a little Dear Evan Hansen if they're a little different, you know? I've only now been trying to be serious and take on some more interesting things. You know, Stephen Sondheim, Roger Hammerstein, you know, the classics, the greats. Because nobody really tells you you have to listen to them, but I think you should. And Rocky Horror is one of those musicals I think every theater kid should see, regardless of if you like it or not. It's pivotal. It's generational. I mean, it inspired a musical number in a Boondocks episode about Tyler Perry. So I think it's worth checking out. Yeah. I grew up on Phineas and Ferb, as most Gen Z kids did. And there were like a couple of references. I never got it. Cats as well. There was a lot of Andrew Lloyd Webber in there. You know, Dan Povenmire, the GOAT. What a deltoid. And bicep. A hot groin. And a tricep makes me shake. Makes me wanna take Charles Atlas by the and okay, yeah, I'm sorry. But I'm not here to talk about Dan Povenmire. I'm not here to talk about my childhood. Well, not really. I'm here to talk about the latest revival on Broadway of Rocky Horror. Now, if you're not familiar, and if you aren't, what are you doing here? Rocky Horror is back on Broadway at Studio 54. And it's got Stephanie Hsu as Janet Weiss. It's got Luke Evans as Tim Curry. And it has my ultimate fave, Amber Gray. God bless her. The queen of Broadway, if you ask me. I know, blasphemous to the Patti LuPone and the Bernadette Peters stands. I'm a Bernadette Peters stan, but I love Amber Gray. Love her down for Stephanie Hadestown. Well, it's like he said, I'm an outdoor girl. Listen, she is the queen of eccentric characters, and I bow down at her altar. However, I must say, Rocky Horror has been revived numerous times. This is not the first time. Okay, they had the reboot movie. That was certainly a movie. A lot of choices were made, and I find that to be a common trend in Broadway revivals, whether it's on on the big screen or if it's a little screen. I mean, people just do whatever. You know, I call this the gleification of musical theater, where it's almost bland. I respect the singing in that that reboot. Okay, it was good. It was great. Even okay, maybe I'm like it was good, objectively good singing, but there's a pizzazz, a roughness, a grittiness, a drama needed in these sort of endeavors. Rocky Horror is all about drama and gravitas. And I say the gleification because it becomes almost manufactured, corporate. It's squeaky clean. It's too smooth. That's not the point. You know, we need the bombastic. Where's the personality? The passion, la passion. You know, like, come on. I love, let's say, the same Sweeney Todd. I love Angela Lansbury's Mrs. Lovett because she has personality. She sings very well, of course, but it's not about, oh, how sexy does she sound? How sexy does she sound? No, she's playing a character. It's about personality. So her voice is almost a character in of itself. Her voice is doing so much. And of course, a singer can only bring what they have. So how they sound is how they sound, but to me, there's a certain grit. You need like just something, a je ne sais quoi, that I feel like Glee and like even, I guess you could even blame Wicked for making everyone sound the same, these belter types, but let's not get into that. And even with like adaptations, I feel like people sometimes feel burdened by the people that came before them. We are always seeing people talking about, ooh, he's not as good as Tim Curry. He'll never be as good as Tim Curry. And it's just like, of course he's not going to be Tim Curry. He's not Tim Curry. He's Luke Evans, dude. Like, I'm not saying you can't like complain or be like, oh, this person could have done it better, or this person was bad casting. I'm not gonna, me personally, I don't really care. I think he's good. I think he's great. He captures the energy and the essence, and that's all I care about. Okay. Once he can sing and he's capturing the emotion, I'm fine. I think certain choices are the director's fault. And if you got a problem, take it up to the directors. But I don't know. I'm not in the industry. So don't. But what I've seen so far and what I've been thinking about, because as someone who didn't grow up with the musical, I feel like I have a different connection to it. For me, the importance of it is in self-expression, and the major theme is liberation, self-expression. You know, don't dream it, be it. But I think personally, Janet Weiss is the most important character. In fact, I'd go so far as saying that she's a protagonist. That's just me, because I feel oftentimes we get caught up in the glitz and the glamour of Rocky Horror. There's a lot of self-expression and joy and celebration that comes from the very elaborate glamour aesthetics that were portrayed in the film. But I think we miss out on some of the message and the theme, and we get kind of lost in the sauce, or maybe we don't. Okay, I'm coming in from a outsider, not growing up with it perspective. I've never been in a shadow cast yet. When I get in America, I'll be in it, I promise. But seriously, like, there's so much to talk about. And for me personally, I think everyone goes into Rocky Horror as maybe a Janet or a Brad. And maybe not everyone. Maybe some people go in already as a Frankenfurter. And if you were one of those people, more power to you. I'm doing like the black power fist under here. You can't see it, but I'm doing it. And I go so far as saying Brad and Janet, they're the fish out of water. They're the audience surrogate, okay? If you are not familiar with that kind of counterculture, alt, go against the grain kind of vibe, you're be clutching your pearls. You're gonna be like, oh my God, what is this? What is this, Brad? I don't want to be here, Brad. You're gonna be the Janet. And for me, I identified so much with Janet. Maybe I'm saying she's the main character because I identified with her so much, but she felt like a full character. Brad was there, yes, but he was more so just being like, I'll protect you, Janet. Don't you worry. There's nothing to be afraid of, Janet. I'm here, I respect Brad. I respect Brad Majors. I love Brad Majors, okay? But he's like he's dull as cardboard, okay? He's milk toast. It's the bland leading the bland in their case, okay? And I think Janet is the one character, the single character, yes, the only character, I dare say, who goes in one way. She starts off as a meek, mild-mannered, milquetoast, vanilla housewife to be. And then by the end of the movie, she comes out a completely different person. And I don't think this is news to anyone, but what I do think people miss out on is the commentary that lies in that dynamic between Janet and Frankenfurter. And I find a lot of creators don't have the same perspective I do on her, and that's okay. But here's how I'm going to show you mine. I would venture to say that in the 1950s, a lot of women felt like the home was their domain, but it was also their cage. And often in musical theater, you see, and even in just broader fiction, you see these ideas of women being encaged in homes. Literally, I mean, you have Rapunzel. And in musical theater, you have characters like Joanna from Stephen Sondheim's Sweeney Todd, one of my favorite musicals from this year too. I'm sorry. I've just been really getting into my classic theater bag, okay? But I really identified with Joanna as well. And you have this dichotomy where these musicals center on these strange or eccentric figures, often men. So in Sweeney Todd, you have Sweeney Todd, he's a barber getting revenge. And in this colorful cast of characters, Joanna, she seems simple. All she is beautiful. She has a lovely voice, and she's kind of going cuckoo from being in an asylum and being kept up, in a mansion, sheltered from the rest of the world. People tend to forget about her as a character. They might tolerate her, they might even like her, but no one's going to say their favorite character is Joanna. And to me, Janet carries on that tradition of women that are often overlooked in media that's, dark or tragic or comedic because they're straight men. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. And I was like, what is going on? Like, I think some people forget just how nonsensical the movie is. It feels almost Lynchian. This year marks the 51st year since Rocky Horror first came out in theaters. And I think what makes it so timeless is the fact that it's all about being authentic, being true to yourself, living your truth. And sure, people argue that the ending punishes Frank for being too extreme, his lifestyle's too extreme. Sure, fine. But I think Janet is actually a better encapsulation of that theme, and she has a better arc. I mean, sure, she ends it with an appetite that's now insatiable for more. But the fact of the matter is Janet's power comes from her knowledge of herself, the fact that she knows who she is. It's unshakable. She's not worried about the Betty Monroes anymore in the world. She's not comparing herself to others. She's more worried about, is she fulfilled? What's fulfilling her? How can she get more of what gives her that spark, that passion? Remember, guys, it's all about passion. Janet is more empowered. She comes out the film a lot more secure in her own skin than when she started it. She was extremely insecure. She was male-centered. All she cared about was what Brad thought of her, what Betty Monroe thought. Ooh, it's nicer than Betty Monroe had. Her ring, oh, it's bigger than hers. It's better than hers. But now, by the end, she's like, oh, I feel released. Bad times are deceased. My confidence has increased. Come on, guys. She literally spells it out. If you weren't paying attention, Janet says it out loud. To me, she is the protagonist. And it's no contest. It's just the truth. And I really related to Janet because for a long time, I was living my life for the approval of others. And even though I usually won't come out and say it, it's the truth of the matter. When I was a kid, I used to speak with an American accent all the time at school, and people would be like, "Oh my God, are you American? Are you American? You can't be from Barbados. You're not Barbadian, are you?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, no, well, I am Barbadian, but like I was so whitewashed." Okay. And as the film progresses, we can actively see how Janet becomes more empowered as she cares less about how others perceive her. I mean, she starts saying, oh, I'm a muscle fan. And it becomes to the point where she overshadows Brad. Instead of it being Brad and Janet, it's suddenly Janet who's the main person driving the plot forward. She's the one, I mean, of course, Eddie's death and Dr. Scott arriving, but Frank now is forced to react. She's the unstoppable force. Frank is the immovable object, okay? Now she's the one who's deciding what she wants to do. She's not listening to what Brad says or what anyone else is doing. I remember when I was first exposed to Rocky Horror on Instagram, I was going through these clips, and someone in the comments saw like that song, and they were like, oh, I hate that song. Janet's so annoying. And when I first watched the film, I kind of understood them. It's uncomfortable. It also highlights how her liberation
through being with Rocky
is tied to her liberation as an individual, as a woman. I found that when I understood what I actually wanted from life, it made me pick up a microphone and realize, hey, I want to find people just like me, people who are interested in the same things as me, people who want to hear new perspectives, people who are tired of the same old, people who are creative, who are intelligent, who are fun. And if you live in this box of, oh, I need to keep my head down, I need to be an academic, I can't have any time for games or fun, I can't do this, I can't do that, you're so worried about coming off as this safe, good girl who's, she has such good grades. Oh, maybe, you're worried about coming off as a good Christian girl or something. And I see a lot of Black women are obsessed with coming across as the good Christian girl. Oh, she's so pure. She doesn't do this. She doesn't do that. It's all about purity, saving yourself until marriage. And that's valid, of course, but you realize how extreme these stats. And I have found the most success. And when I say success, I mean most freedom, the most self-satisfaction in just allowing myself to be receptive to others in the universe, as they say, that woo-woo kind of thing of manifestation and whatnot. When I just put my ideas out there, when I stop worrying about what others think of me and concern myself with what is true, what I know to be true about myself. And I think that is what's most powerful for women, that ability to stop. And of course, you need to be mindful of others' perception of you, but ultimately, no one can give you that serenity of thought but yourself. Because when everyone's gone, when the party's over, who are you standards are for women, whereas men, they're not held up to the same standards. In fact, men are encouraged to be as free and fun-loving as possible, as eccentric as they are. Frank is allowed to be that way regardless, and Janet is the one who is battling with this in her own mind. And of course, Brad as well also has his own standards about purity and whatnot. But for men, it's not, it doesn't control them in the same way that it controls women like Janet. That's what I gotta say. I think now more than ever, we need media that's challenging, media that makes us think, media that's irreverent. I think a lot of people concern themselves too much with, oh, does this thing stand the test of time? Is it acceptable for me to still engage with it? I mean, does it reflect all of my political views? And sometimes it doesn't. And I think, in fact, media shouldn't always reflect all of your political views. Because guess what? It is art. It is meant to make you think. It is meant to help us connect with others and understand the human condition. And you know what? I can sit here and say all this stuff about Janet, and you might be watching this and thinking, what the hell is she on about? And I respect that.
Say something.
Say! Do one of you guys know how to Madison?
This is my first video essay ever. I don't even think this is a video essay. This is just a rant, but I had fun making this. I mean, if you like what you saw, if you like me, if you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe. This is like 2016 YouTube. Bye.